Most people are living like they have unlimited time. They act like tomorrow is guaranteed, like dreams can wait, like the right moment is somewhere down the line. But what if that moment never comes? What if the real tragedy isn't dying, but dying full of ideas you never acted on, full of love you never expressed, full of a version of you the world never got to meet? That's not dramatic. That's real. And deep down, you know it. We're told to wait, to be realistic, to play it safe. But safe doesn't change lives. Safe doesn't leave legacy. The truth is hard to swallow. Most people die without ever using what they've been given. Not because they couldn't, but because they didn't. And the scariest part? You could be one of them without even realizing it. Busy, distracted, almost ready, living on autopilot while your greatness collects dust. This video is a wake-up call. It's not here to comfort you. It's here to challenge you. To rip the excuses out of your mouth and replace them with purpose. To remind you that every single day you hold back is a day you don't get back. The clock is ticking, not to pressure you, but to set you free. Because when you realize that time is limited, you stop wasting it. You stop playing small. You stop waiting, and you start using everything. Your gifts, your time, your energy, your story. You use it to build, to heal, to love, to move. Because in the end, you don't want to leave this life full. You want to leave it empty. Nothing held back, nothing left behind. And if you're ready to live like that, to give it all, to burn bright, to make your story count, then keep watching. This might just change everything. Picture yourself on your deathbed, surrounded by silent figures. But they're not people. They're your unlived dreams, the talents you ignored, the ideas that never saw the light of day. Each one carries the weight of what could have been. They stare at you, not in anger, but with a sadness that hits deep. These shadows are parts of you that beg to be born, but were turned away out of fear, insecurity, or procrastination. Time passed, and what was once a spark turned to dust. It's cruel to think that so much inner greatness can die trapped inside us. This kind of reflection stings, but it's necessary. How many projects have you buried alive? And more importantly, how many are still begging to come out? The truth is, most people don't think they're wasting their life until it's too late. Urgency only kicks in when time starts slipping away. We stay busy with distractions, urgent tasks, empty commitments. And our dreams? They get pushed to someday. But someday has an expiration date, and it never sends a warning. That's the real danger. Without action, we build up a quiet pile of missed opportunities. They stack up like ghosts, creating frustration, anxiety, and eventually, regret. The transformation that could have happened never gets to bloom. Life becomes a string of shallow scenes, without meaning, all because fear spoke louder than the desire to fully live. These ghosts don't scream, they whisper. And whispers are tricky because we get used to them. It's the classic, "That's not for me. Now's not the right time. I'm not good enough." These lines become the background noise of those who let their dreams rot on the shelf. But dreams have a shelf life. If you don't use them, they go sour. The strength you had at 25 won't be the same at 50. The focus you have today might vanish in tomorrow's chaos. And if you're waiting to have all the answers before moving, know this: answers never come before the decision. Gratitude, courage, and action. That's how a legacy is built. Not with perfection. The point isn't doing everything. It's doing what matters. Purpose doesn't grow from comfort. It grows from consistency. And consistency takes guts, especially when fear shows up. Because fear will show up, but you can choose to dance with it. When you decide to move, even with uncertainty, you start waking up the parts of you that were asleep. Each step sends a message to the universe. I'm here, I'm alive, I'm trying, and that's enough. It doesn't have to be grand, it just has to be real. And nothing is more powerful than someone who gives themselves fully to their path. So here's the real question. How many ghosts are you willing to face now so they won't haunt you in the end? Waiting for the perfect moment is a lie. Now is all you've got. And every choice you make today could be the start of something that changes not just your story, but someone else's too. Because yes, someone is watching. And maybe your movement is the nudge they need not to bury their own dreams. Use everything, while you still can, while you're still alive. Most people don't regret what they tried. they regret what they didn't. That's the heartbreaking truth. It's not the failure that haunts you. It's the silence of never having tried. So many go through life playing it safe, always calculating, always waiting. But in that waiting, time slips by. And the more time passes, the more distant those dreams feel. One day you look back and realize the scariest what if isn't about failing. It's about never showing up for yourself in the first place. Silent regrets don't scream, but they weigh heavily on the soul. They're the ache that shows up when the world goes quiet. And the most dangerous part? These regrets don't come from lack of talent or intelligence. Most people are fully capable. What holds them back is fear. Fear of judgment, of not being enough, of stepping out and falling flat. But here's the twist. The real failure is in never trying, because the growth, the magic, the transformation, they only happen in motion. You don't find clarity by waiting. You find it by doing. You don't build strength by staying in the comfort zone. You build it by getting uncomfortable, by choosing to act even when your voice shakes and your hands tremble. It's easy to think, I'll do it tomorrow. But how many tomorrows have already passed? How many excuses have you recycled just to avoid the discomfort of beginning? The truth is, fear will always offer you an out. It will whisper all the reasons why now isn't the time, why you're not ready, why you might fail. But every time you listen, you shrink. And your dreams? They don't die all at once. They fade quietly, painfully, like music drifting away. What if instead of listening to that fear, you made a different choice? What if you dared to see what happens when you try? People often wait for a sign, something dramatic, but the signs are already here. They're in your restlessness, in the nagging feeling that there's more, in the moments you see someone else doing what you dream of and feel that twist inside your chest. That's your soul knocking. It's asking you to wake up. Regret doesn't have to be your ending. You can interrupt the pattern. You can choose to act now, even if it's messy, even if it's uncertain. The only thing worse than failing is spending a lifetime wondering who you could have become if you had just tried. So the question stands, if fear wasn't in the way, what would you attempt today? If no one was watching, what bold move would you make? Life isn't measured by perfection. It's measured by presence, effort, and courage. The goal isn't to get it all right. It's to give it your all. Let your story be one of motion, of resilience, of dreams lived loud. Because in the end, it won't be the risks you regret. It'll be the chances you never took. Don't let silence write your story. Speak through your actions. Use everything. What if you stopped running from your challenges and started courting them? Sounds wild, right? But think about it. What if that fear, that dream, that intimidating goal was actually something or someone you needed to build a relationship with? Instead of hiding from the discomfort, you walk right up to it, look it in the eye and say, I'm choosing you. Just like asking someone out, it's vulnerable, it's scary, but it's the start of something. Life responds to boldness. And when you approach your fears with intention, like they're part of your growth, not your enemy, something shifts. The game changes. See, most people treat challenges like unwanted visitors. They resist them, dodge them, wish they'd go away. But what if those challenges were sacred invitations? Invitations to expand, to evolve, to meet parts of yourself you didn't know existed. When you propose to your challenge, that career move, that relationship, that city you've been dreaming about, you send a signal to your subconscious. I'm in. I'm done waiting. It's a form of commitment that starts inside. It's not about knowing every step. It's about saying yes before the path is fully lit. And that yes, it has power. Imagine walking into the unknown and whispering to yourself, let's do this together. That's the kind of inner strength that creates transformation. And the beautiful thing is, when you stop resisting and start engaging, your fear often shrinks. Not because it disappears, but because you've changed the dynamic. It's not a wall anymore. It's a door. Every great story started with someone accepting the challenge, despite the fear. Every breakthrough began with a moment of commitment, a decision to stop flirting with possibility and start showing up for it. When you say I do to your dream, you activate your potential. There's no such thing as a perfect moment to leap. There's only the moment you decide to stop waiting. And here's a thought. What if the challenge is also waiting for you? What if your dream is on the other side of a door that only opens when you knock with courage? Focusing on results too early can crush your motivation. But if you focus on connection, on saying yes to the process, things begin to flow. You stop obsessing over failure and start embracing movement. That's where resilience is built. That's where you stop being stuck and start being alive. So go ahead, ask it out. That stage you've been afraid of, that business idea you've kept in the drawer, that move to a new place. It's time to treat your dreams like they matter, because they do. And when you commit, life meets you halfway. The universe has a funny way of rearranging things when you finally get serious. Say yes, even trembling. Say yes, even unsure. Say yes, because regret is louder than fear. Use everything. Start now. Life doesn't reward those who stand still. It responds to those who move, even when they're uncertain, scared, or unprepared. Movement is the lifeblood of transformation. Without it, even the brightest ideas fade, and even the most powerful intentions go cold. It's not enough to have dreams. You've got to move toward them. Not next year, not when things calm down. Now, because without motion, there's no momentum. And without momentum, there's no change. A great vision with no action is like a car with no engine. Beautiful, but going nowhere. Think about it. Everything in nature moves. Rivers flow. Seasons shift. Even your breath moves in and out. Stagnation is unnatural. And yet so many people live stuck in patterns, jobs, relationships, and routines that slowly drain their vitality. Why? Because movement requires risk, and risk feels like danger. But what if the real danger is staying still? Staying stuck doesn't protect you. It slowly robs you of your energy, your fire, your sense of purpose. The longer you wait to move, the heavier the resistance becomes. Eventually, it takes more effort to stay stuck than to start moving. And here's the beautiful twist. You don't need a perfect plan to move. You just need to begin. One step, one uncomfortable decision, one brave moment. Progress doesn't come from giant leaps. It comes from consistency, from refusing to let fear paralyze you. Every time you move, you build trust with yourself. You prove to your mind and body that you are not your hesitation. You are your direction. The transformation you crave isn't waiting for you in the distance. It's hiding inside the very first step you're avoiding. Get moving. That's where your strength wakes up. When you're in motion, even failure feels different. It becomes feedback instead of defeat. You learn faster, adapt quicker, and stay connected to your purpose. Life rewards those who show up and keep showing up. Not because they're fearless, but because they choose to stay in the game. Even small actions, when done with intention, create ripples. Over time, those ripples turn into waves, and those waves move you toward the person you're becoming. The journey isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, persistent, and willing to move before you're ready. So ask yourself, where have you been frozen? What's the one move you've been avoiding? You don't need to leap. You just need to lean forward. Move with your fear. Move with your doubt. Just move. Because movement brings clarity. Movement reveals your strength. Movement is how you turn a life of potential into a life of purpose. Don't let your story be one of hesitation. Make it a story of motion. Use everything. Don't wait for life to start. Move, and let life move with you. Your life is a story, whether you're writing it with purpose or letting it be written by fear. And one day, someone will read it. Maybe your children, maybe strangers, but most importantly, you. At the end of it all, when the noise fades and the world slows down, what kind of story will you have told? Will it be a tale of resilience, bold decisions, wild dreams pursued? Or will it be a collection of safe pages lived quietly, cautiously, and half-heartedly? You don't get to rewrite your story once it's over, but you do get to write it now. Every choice is a sentence, every day a paragraph, every season a chapter. It's easy to think of life as something that happens to us, but you're the author, whether you want the job or not. And if you're not holding the pen, someone else is. Society, family, fear, comfort. But the truth is, no one else can tell your story the way you can. Your perspective, your experiences, your inner battles, they're yours for a reason. And when you own them, You transform them into something powerful, into something that makes sense not just to you, but to those who'll one day read your pages looking for light. Now let's get real. Every book has messy chapters, pain, mistakes, confusion. But those aren't the parts you need to erase. They're the ones that build depth. Nobody's inspired by a perfect story. They're moved by the ones that show the fight, the fall, and the rise. Don't waste energy trying to skip the struggle. Instead, let it shape you into someone worth reading about. The hard parts become your wisdom. The tears become your ink. And over time, those chaotic lines start making sense. The story comes together, not because it was easy, but because you kept showing up to write it. Too many people live waiting for the next chapter, thinking someday they'll finally start doing what they love, saying what they feel, becoming who they are. But here's the plot twist. Someday is a blank page unless you choose to fill it. Dreams don't write themselves. Impact doesn't write itself. And if you let the chapters slip by unwritten, you end up with a book of regrets. That's not the story you want, and it's not the story the world needs. The world doesn't need perfect stories. It needs real ones, honest, messy, courageous stories from people who dared to live out loud. So, take the pen back. Stop letting fear be your narrator. Start being deliberate about what comes next. Whether you're on page 5 or page 500, it's never too late to rewrite the tone. Every day is a chance to shift the plot, to introduce a new character, try a new path, or face an old fear. The ending hasn't been written yet, and that means anything is still possible, but only if you write it. So go on. Use everything you've got. Make your story one worth remembering. And when you get to the final page, let it be full, not hollow. Let it say, I didn't hold back. I used it all. We think we're afraid of failure, but that's not the real fear. The real fear is waking up one day and realizing we never tried, that we played it safe for so long we lost touch with who we were meant to be. Imagine standing in front of everything you could have become and hearing life say, this is what you were capable of. If only you had moved. That's not a movie. That's the quiet heartbreak that follows many to the grave. It's not the fall that hurts most. It's the absence of flight. The real fear is dying with your best work still inside you. Think about how much energy we spend avoiding discomfort, protecting our pride, delaying change, overthinking decisions. We wait for signs, for permission, for confidence, but none of those things arrive until you step into the unknown. You don't get courage in advance. You earn it by acting. And that's the paradox. The longer you wait to be ready, the more regret you're building. Time doesn't stop. Dreams don't sit around forever. The clock is ticking, not in a scary way, but in a way that says, if you want to live fully, stop hiding. Life is urgent, not tomorrow, now. Sometimes we forget that fear isn't just a warning, it's a compass. It often points toward what matters. The bigger the fear, the bigger the potential behind it. But instead of seeing it that way, we shrink. We say, maybe later, or I'm not good enough. But here's the truth. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they never show up. Fear wins by default. But what if, just once, you chose to challenge that voice? What if you decided that missing out on your own life is scarier than falling flat? Let's say you do try, and you fail. What then? You learn. You evolve. You get stronger. That failure becomes part of your wisdom, not your identity. But if you don't try, you lose twice. Once because you stayed stuck, and again because you never found out who you really were. The person you admire most, they've failed, probably more than you'll ever know. What sets them apart is that they kept going. They made fear their fuel, not their cage. They didn't wait to be fearless. They acted while still afraid. That's what greatness looks like behind the curtain. So ask yourself honestly, what scares you more, trying and failing, or never knowing what you're truly made of? Because life will ask you that over and over again, and your answer writes your future. Let your fear be your guide, not your jailer. Step into the spaces that shake you. They're often where your power is hiding. Don't just avoid pain, avoid regret. Use your fear, dance with it, learn from it, and most of all, don't let it steal your story. Use everything. Let the fear remind you you're alive, then move anyway. How many dreams have died waiting for the right time? How many goals, ideas, and chances got locked away behind the excuse, I'm just waiting for things to line up? Here's the truth that most people don't like to admit. There is no perfect moment. There's no magical pause in life where everything feels easy, clear, and risk-free. That moment doesn't exist. What does exist is now. Messy, unpredictable, full of unknowns. And yet, it's the only moment you've got. The illusion of the right time is the most seductive lie fear ever told. It keeps people on hold forever. Life isn't Netflix. You can't hit pause and expect everything to stay in place. The clock keeps ticking, and opportunities keep passing. The more you wait, the heavier the weight of inaction becomes. Time doesn't forgive procrastination. It charges interest. One missed season turns into 5. One delayed dream becomes a lifetime of wondering. People tell themselves, "I'll start when I have more time," or "I'll try once I feel ready." But readiness doesn't come before action. It's a byproduct of showing up. You don't grow confidence in your head. You grow it by doing scary things anyway. The right time is a story people tell themselves to avoid facing their fears. Because if you can blame timing, you don't have to take responsibility. But deep down, you know the truth. You know the moment will never feel 100% safe. And that's the point. Growth doesn't come from comfort. Transformation doesn't knock. It dares you to break routine. The strongest people you know didn't wait for everything to be perfect. They moved, stumbled, learned, and kept going. They realized that the cost of waiting was far greater than the cost of trying and failing. Let's be real. Life will always be a little chaotic. There will always be bills, distractions, noise, and uncertainty. But if you let those things decide when you live, you'll never really live. The secret isn't about finding time. It's about making time. It's choosing to move even when your hands are full, even when your heart is racing, even when the fear says, "Not yet." Because there is power in starting before you're ready. There's magic in action. That first imperfect step has more weight than 1,000 perfect plans that never leave the paper. So what are you waiting for? What dream has been sitting in your heart, collecting dust, because you're waiting for someday? What if today is enough? What if your future is begging you to act now? You don't need a sign. This is your sign. You don't need permission. You are the permission. Stop waiting for life to be calm. Create movement in the storm. Use everything. Start where you are. Let go of the illusion of the right time and step into the truth. The time is now, and now is more than enough. Most of the limits in your life weren't put there by the world. They were built by you, quietly, over time, based on fear, failure, and false beliefs. You told yourself, "I can't do that. That's not for me. People like me don't go that far." And little by little, you created a fence around your potential. But here's the truth. Those limits aren't real. They're just stories, and stories can be rewritten. The moment you start questioning your limits, you begin to break them. Growth doesn't come from staying within the lines. It comes from daring to step outside them. We're taught to pick one lane, stick to it, and play safe. But why should one dream define your whole life? Why should one version of you be the only one that gets to exist? The truth is, you're allowed to evolve. You're allowed to pivot. You're allowed to surprise yourself. Some of the most fulfilled people in the world didn't follow one straight path. They took risks. They challenged the idea that there's only one way to live a successful life. And every time they broke a rule they had written for themselves, they discovered new parts of who they were. Sometimes, the person holding you back is the voice inside your head telling you to stay small, but your purpose was never meant to be quiet. You weren't born to blend in. You were made to stretch, to reach, to rise. That inner voice might sound protective, but often it's just afraid. Afraid of being judged, of messing up, of not being enough. But what if, instead of silencing it, you spoke back? What if you said, "Thanks for the warning, but I'm doing it anyway"? That's how power is reclaimed. That's how limits get shattered. Breaking your limits doesn't mean becoming someone else. It means becoming more of who you really are, beyond fear, beyond doubt, beyond habit. It's saying, "I won't be defined by my past. I won't be confined by other people's expectations. I won't shrink to make others comfortable." You weren't meant to live in a box. You were meant to expand, to explore, to experiment. And yes, sometimes that means failing. But failure is just a step on the path to freedom. Every limit you break becomes a door someone else sees, and walks through because you had the courage to open it first. So, what invisible walls have you accepted as permanent? What dreams have you labeled unrealistic? What if today you decided to challenge one of those thoughts? You don't have to destroy every wall at once. Just kick a hole in one. Prove to yourself that you're not stuck, that you're still becoming, that the old rules don't apply to the new you. Use your voice. Use your strength. Use everything. And let the world watch as you rewrite the story of what's possible. It's easy to think your life is just about you, your dreams, your struggles, your goals. But here's the twist. Your choices echo. What you do or don't do ripples out. Every act of courage, every moment of resilience, every step you take toward purpose, it touches people you may never even meet. You were never meant to live only for yourself. There's something deeply powerful in realizing that your transformation can inspire someone else's, that your story might be the light in someone else's darkness. And sometimes, that's all it takes to start a chain reaction. We live in a world desperate for real examples, not perfect ones, real ones. People who fall and rise again. People who dare to chase dreams when others have given up. When you show up fully, even imperfectly, you give others permission to do the same. Think about it. Has someone's courage ever impacted your life? A teacher, a friend, a stranger who spoke a truth you needed to hear? That moment didn't happen in isolation. It happened because someone chose to live out loud, and you can be that someone for someone else. Influence doesn't always come with a title. Sometimes it comes from simply choosing to show up. Living only for yourself eventually leads to emptiness. But when your life becomes a bridge, connecting your gifts to the needs of others, that's when meaning explodes. Purpose isn't just about what makes you feel alive. It's also about how your aliveness brings light to others. Your strength isn't just for you. Your focus, your growth, your fire, they become tools to uplift, inspire, and impact. When you realize your life has the power to shift someone else's, your decisions take on a new weight. You stop asking, "What do I get?" and start asking, "What do I give?" This isn't about being a saint. It's about being aware. It's about noticing that your dream might unlock someone else's, that your healing might give someone else hope to start theirs. The dream is never just the dream. It's a seed. And when you plant it, water it, and let it grow, others take shelter in its shade. You never know who's watching you, quietly gaining strength from your journey. So when things get hard, and they will, remember, you're not just fighting for yourself. You're building a legacy that will ripple through lives you may never even know. So, how do you want to be remembered? As someone who stayed silent, or someone whose life caused a shift in others? You don't need to change the whole world, but you can change someone's world. And sometimes, that's enough. Sometimes that's everything. Use your gifts, share your voice, walk your path with courage, not just for your own sake, but for those who'll rise because you did. Use everything. Let your life echo. What if, instead of avoiding fear, you sat down and had a talk with it? Sounds strange, but think about it. Fear is already riding in your car. It's in the passenger seat, giving directions, yelling at every turn. So why not turn to it and ask, what are you really trying to say? Fear isn't always the enemy. Sometimes it's just a confused protector. It doesn't hate your dreams, it just hates uncertainty. But when you ignore fear, it gets louder. When you acknowledge it, it quiets down. This isn't about silencing fear. It's about understanding it and choosing to move anyway. Try this. Next time fear shows up, instead of pushing it away, invite it in. Ask it why it's scared. Let it speak, and then speak back. Tell it, I hear you, but I'm not stopping here. That kind of self-awareness creates power. When you stop running from fear, it loses control over you. You begin to lead instead of being led. Fear wants to keep you safe, but safe is not where dreams live. Safe is a holding cell dressed like comfort. The truth is, every bold step you take will bring fear with it. So stop trying to leave fear behind. Learn to walk beside it. Picture yourself dancing with fear, not pushing it away, not locking it out, just dancing, leading, moving anyway. That image changes everything. Suddenly, fear becomes part of your rhythm. It's still there, yes, but it's not calling the shots. You are. And that's the difference between a stuck life and a bold one. People often wait to act until they feel fearless. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving with fear in the room. It's saying, you don't have to leave for me to go forward. That's when your inner strength starts to shine. Some of the most powerful people you admire, they're not fearless. They're fluent in fear. They know how to feel it and still pick up the phone, hit send, walk on stage, take the leap. They don't pretend the fear isn't there. They just stopped letting it drive. And you can too. Start small. Have that conversation. Ask yourself, what's the fear trying to protect? What's the cost of obeying it? What could open up if you chose to dialogue instead of deny? Every time you do, you reclaim a little more freedom. And freedom is where transformation begins. So the next time fear knocks, don't slam the door. Open it. Listen. Smile. Then say, thanks for showing up, but I'm going anyway. That's real power. That's the moment you stop living by limitation and start living by intention. Use everything, even fear, especially fear, because what scares you often reveals what matters most. Let fear walk beside you, but never ahead of you. And when you reach your next level, you'll smile, not because you avoided fear, but because you danced with it and kept moving. Imagine reaching the end of your life with nothing left inside. No untold stories, no unused gifts, no unlived dreams. Just a full life, poured out completely. That's the goal, to die empty. Not empty in a sad, hollow way, but empty in the most powerful way possible. You gave it all. You showed up fully. You didn't hold back your greatness, your creativity, your heart. The world got the best of you, not the leftovers. That's not just inspiring, it's freeing, because it means your job isn't to be perfect. Your job is to use everything. Most people die with gas still in the tank. Ideas that never became action. Love that was never spoken. Potential that stayed locked behind fear and overthinking. They waited. They second-guessed. And in doing so, they robbed the world and themselves of something beautiful. Don't let that be your story. Don't let the fear of not being ready keep you from giving what's inside you. Your life is a gift, and gifts are meant to be opened, used, shared, not hidden away waiting for the right time. The time is now. The reason is you. The fuel is everything you've already got. To die empty is to live fully. It means dancing even when you're unsure, speaking even when your voice trembles, building even when failure feels possible. It means living with such focus and gratitude that each moment becomes sacred, even the hard ones. You start to measure your life not by what you avoided, but by what you gave, not by how comfortable you stayed, but by how often you stretched. A life of purpose doesn't come from playing it safe. It comes from giving yourself completely to what calls your name, even if no one else understands. And here's the real beauty. When you die empty, you don't just change your life. You change others. You become a story worth telling, a legacy worth remembering. Not because you were flawless, but because you were fearless in your effort, because you used your voice when it mattered. You gave your time, your energy, your love, and you gave it all away. That's not loss, that's impact. That's the kind of life that echoes long after the final chapter ends. So ask yourself, honestly, are you holding back? What's still inside you that the world hasn't seen yet? Don't save your best for later. Later might not come. Share your art. Say the words. Take the leap. Love fully. Give deeply. Create boldly. Let the people around you see the real you. Don't wait to be emptied by time. Empty yourself by choice. That's the goal. Use everything before you go. Because a full life is one that ends beautifully, empty. Now that you've heard it all, the question isn't, did this inspire me? It's, what am I going to do about it? Inspiration without action fades fast, so don't just nod and move on. Look at your life. What's been waiting for your courage? What gift are you still hiding? What dream are you keeping on the shelf, thinking you'll get to it later? Later isn't promised, but now is real, and now is enough. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need a flawless plan. You just need to decide. One step, one decision. One brave move that says, I'm not going to die with my music still in me. Let that mindset guide you. Wake up with it. Go to sleep with it. Let it shape how you spend your time, who you give your energy to, and what you say yes or no to. Because when you use everything, life becomes something bigger than comfort. It becomes meaningful. And it's not just about you. Remember, your actions ripple. Someone needs your story. Your movement might give someone else permission to begin. So don't wait. Don't apologize for wanting more. Don't settle for survival when you were built for impact. Use your fear. Use your voice. Use your joy. Use your pain. Use your past. Use your future. Use everything. That's the kind of life that echoes long after you're gone. So I'll leave you with this. If you knew time was running out, what would you do differently today? If this message hit you deep, if it sparked something inside, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications, and stay connected. We're building something real here. A space where truth meets action, where people wake up and live fully. Your life is waiting. Go use it.